our other delegates attending, all of us, those of you who are here. I know it's a difficult time. We're still in that pandemic, and for us to be here during that period, I'd just like to remind all of us to continue to observe the protocols. I know sometimes, or many times, we've dropped our balls, mingling around with our friends. I think we trust our friends more than you're going to the shop, everybody's wearing masks. You go into the airport, everybody's wearing masks, but when you're sitting together having a beer with your mate, you don't have your mask on. So that's all right. We trust ourselves more than others. So just a reminder there. And my name is Stanley Komunt. I am the country manager for Newcrest. And Newcrest, as you all know, owns and Lear Gold Mine. And we also are a joint venture with Harmony Gold at Wafi. And good to see my colleagues from Wafi and Harmony here. My presentation will, like Philip said, I'll talk about the support Newcrest has provided to our operations, to our host communities, and to the country as a whole during the pandemic. So it's generally our support to COVID. Yes, before I go forward, that's the disclaimer. You can read at your pleasure. It's basically saying that anything I say and we discuss here, don't take it as it is. It's up to you to make sure that you make your own decision as an investment. So that's our disclaimer. Thank you for putting that up. Before I start, I would like to acknowledge our Learian landholders as the traditional landowners of where we operate in New Ireland province. And also, I'd like to acknowledge the Motuan and the Kotabu people here, with the traditional owners of the land. We are now having this conference. And we also thank all those current, past, future, and past leaders that of these people. So I would also like to take this time to acknowledge all of us who are here from the different projects that we are here. You've got your own host communities, you've got our own landowners, landholders. So I'd like to also acknowledge them. Maybe some of them are here and some are not here. As it is a community affairs and a business development workshop, I'd also like to acknowledge, before I go to the presentation, for all of us and all of you for maintaining the social license for all our projects to continue to operate. Like the managing director for MRA said this morning, the projects to date continue to operate. Obviously, apart from POGRA, which is a different case, but those projects that are continuing to operate, we continue to maintain the social license. You guys are here, some of your folks are on site. Social license is something that we don't get permit like we do when we go to start a mine, where you go to MRA and get your mining license, or you go to CPR and get your environment permit. Social license is very important in the context that we continue to operate in order for us to continue to operate the mines. We have people like ourselves on the ground talking, mingling, building bridges, ensuring that our host communities are tended to in a way, in a Melanesian way, in our respecting our culture. So I'd just like to pay respect to all our community affairs and the business development team that are here and out there as well. Next slide. So what I will cover today in the 20 minutes, if I can go through all of them in 20 minutes, Philip. It's an overview of operations very quickly. 15 now. The journey through the global pandemic, and all of us has gone through that. So I'll quickly give an update on how we have progressed through, and then obviously the bigger picture of the operations as we go through, and then I'll wrap up with our efforts coordinating and working with the government. Next slide. So for Lihir, those of you may not know, 1997 is when the production started. Newcrest actually took over the operations in 2010 and then continued to operate as LGL, Lihir Gold Limited. And as announced in our half-year results in FY21, Lihir mine improvements underpin an aspiration for the mine to be 1 million ounce per annum producer for the next 10-15 years as we go forward from year FY23. So that's our aspirations. We've got a very hard-working operations team on site, working closely with our host communities, working closely with our partners, business partners, and we hope that we will pass the 1 million ounce mark. Our focus remains strong on creating a brighter future for our people. Like I said, our host communities, we have about 4,500 plus very strong workforce. Suppliers throughout in country as well and overseas, and obviously we also would like to maintain our safe working environment and be a responsible miner through the challenging times ahead of us. Next. So our fight against COVID, the support for the government efforts, we've made some announcements in how we would support the government and also look after our employees and the community, so I'll talk more about that. The support is not limited to Lihir. We're looking at New Ireland province and rest of the country as well. And obviously, again, we pride ourselves to be a good corporate citizen, and we are equally concerned, like the government and all of us here, about the safety and the health and the welfare of our people. It's New Ireland and the rest of the country as well. And again, we have employees coming from all over the country, and we have families, our employees' families spread all over the country as well. Next. So our journey through the pandemic, both on the island and the rest of the country, as COVID sort of unfolded through the last year and good part of this year, Newcrest, we established our community fund, support fund, and that was a $20 million announcement that was made by our CEO. Out of that, that's globally, out of that 20 million kina was earmarked for, allocated to PNG to support the country's effort to fight the COVID. So, and when announcing the establishment of the fund, our CEO, Stanley, has always taken, said that Newcrest has always taken its responsibilities as the corporate leader in PNG, and that's in line with that, and seriously the company was committed to supporting the government and the community during the pandemic. So, and we've worked with the different partners through that course. Our CEO who's in charge of PNG, Craig Jones, has spent a lot of time in country with our team on the island, talking to the different players and the partners as to how we can all work together to assist, to fight, to minimize the spread of the COVID, the virus. So obviously partnering with different stakeholders was important. It wasn't a fight that, as you all would appreciate, it wasn't a fight that only one individual entity or a company would take that on. It was, we felt that, and obviously we appreciated there were other partners as well, so we would like to work with them together as well. The fund is dedicated to helping our local communities respond to the responding in three main areas: containment and health assistance, livelihoods and recovery, and supporting key area now. We are working with the New Ireland Provincial Health Authority, and UNICEF is actually rolling the vaccine across New Ireland. So part of that support, Newcrest is fully supporting and funding the vaccine rollout for New Islanders. Uptake is another thing, but we are committed to making sure that the rollout happens. PNG has been a priority for the fund once when Newcrest created that fund. So supporting the COVID-related projects in New Ireland, we've gone to Rabaul, we've gone to Morobe, so we've gone to most of the key areas in Port Moresby as well. So again, I'll be talking to them in detail in the other slide. Moving on. So these are some of the, as you can see up on the slide, completed task in yellow, and then on your right is ongoing. So some of our milestones there. It hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy, and I have to admit that. Despite, in the midst of all the restrictions, in the midst of travel bans and all that, internal restrictions as well, we were not allowed to fly. So we were, the online, the visual call, as we all know, that has become part of our lives and part of the business. So under Newcrest 20 million that support, and together with our partners, we distributed the oxygen tank regulators, the hygienes, consumables, PPEs, medical supplies. So there's a whole list of things that we in partnership with the different PHAs and the provincial governments, we've supplied them. So like here in Moresby, Morobe, New Ireland, and Eastern Britain. New Ireland and Eastern Britain seems to will take most of our attention, given that New Ireland is our host province, and Eastern Britain as the closest neighboring province, and also you got all traditional ties and all big man, big Mary say go come up. From New Ireland, they just jump up to get on the motor and go to Rabaul. So the people movement, all that put together, the virus, supporting them to making sure that we stop the spread of the virus. Again, areas that we looked at supporting and making sure that we have that through the PHA or through the partners, we're looking at educational and resourcing them to make sure that they have the resources to carry out the awareness, consumables and PPEs and the vaccine rollout, and administrative support. All that together, there was a lot of things that's happened, and I'm just naming a few. We've partnered with Kokoda Trek Foundation to roll out what we call a Project Airborne. So this is designed to keep the school children and the communities in New Ireland safe through the delivery of hygiene supplies. So again, partnering with the provincial government and the education. We've covered 372 elementary schools. Basically making sure, again, the kids, the young kids in schools receive those supplies, awareness, PPEs on the ground when they were going to school. So again, having partners on the ground helped us. We were able to make the funds available, but provincial government, PHA, like Kokoda Trek Foundation, the established organization and partners on the ground were able to make this possible for us. So, next. When it all started, we had team on site, so we call that the Joint Stakeholder Committee. That's the team that sort of managed the Highland, the Lear Island, and obviously, and then you had the provincial COVID team as well, which was the provincial administrator was the chair. So this was chaired by our LLG manager. So we had the LLGs, the health officials, the police, as you can see there. They were all part of this committee. They're not wearing masks. There is no as you can see, they all seated together. This was actually before the measures were put out, and the controller measures was put out. So this was start of it when it all started, and that's the team. So just in case you see that picture and you may be wondering why we are not observing those protocols. The key stakeholders there, like I said, Nimama LLG, which is our local landowner group, LLG, the 13 tenement landowner group, which is our landholders, the Lear Mining Landowner Association, we also had them in that part of the group, and some of our business partners, Anichua Group, Mineral Resource, Real Capital. We had the youths and the women association part of that. We had the churches come in, National Scaffolding Services, which is a contractor on site, International SOS, which runs our Lear Medical Center. We had the police part of it. We had MRA, we had officers there. New Ireland Provincial Health Authority, the provincial government. You may be wondering why I'm calling their names, but these are people who made it possible for us to make sure that we kept our highland not really safe. You know, there were positive cases on the island, but we had team who were working very hard to ensure that we stopped the spread of the virus on the island. It is very, 1 minute, I'm not even finished yet. So it is. I'd like to acknowledge those support from these guys, and we've come a long way, and I'm sure we're still in the middle of the pandemic, and we will continue to work together with the team. This is, as you can see, we continue some of the continuation of our milestones. The awareness session and the training for our health officers and the supplies. We have provided training as it can serve. So I'll just keep this and I'll go straight to some of the stuff that we have done, and I'll acknowledge our government presence as well. So if we can just quickly go through before I'm asked to sit down. Next. Under the support fund, this is some of the facilities we upgraded to ensure that we had facilities up and running to attend to any emergency we had on the island, obviously COVID related, so the before and after pictures there. We had 11 health centers upgraded, electric equipment in there. We put medical equipment, telecommunications. They were able to communicate with the main hospitals. We made sure that all the workforce were trained, all the health officers were trained. So again, that has been a partnership with our LLGs and the provincial government. Next. And we converted our camp or training center into a treatment center. We had isolation center created. So as you can see, that's our LLG manager. And then we also have our LLG deputy president, Honorable Sebastian up on the top, and then the LLG manager, Mr. Tukas, down below. Moving on. Some of the awareness sessions we've taken at the community and the schools, and we are continuing to carry them out in, again, partnership with our partners. Next. Again, some of the stuff that we have done, and I'm sure this is not new to most of you. You guys have done that also on site. To keep our workforce safe and the operations going, we had strict controls, like I said earlier on, restrictions of domestic and international flights coming in. We tested all our employees. We put them through the 14 days quarantine in Mosby before they went to site. Again, making sure that all the employees were following the measures put out by the controller. Again, ensuring that our employees are kept safe, their families are safe, our host community is safe, and at the end, we continue to run a safe and a successful operations on the island. Next. That's when we did our rollout on the island at the provincial level, and our governor, Sir Jay, and the administrator and the team getting the vaccines, the first jab. So Newcrest has donated approximately 2.5 million kina to UNICEF, and that's a partnership that we have put together to support the New Island Provincial Health Authority to roll out the vaccine on the island, all of New Island. So UNICEF again and Department of Health, we thank them for their continuous support and the partnership. So far, and some of them are not completed. That's 5 million on the island, and then 12 million for New Island and PNG. As you can see, there's some funds that the operation spent on the island. It's not captured up here. It'll be in our yearly report. Because it's yet to come out, we couldn't put them up here, but there's been a fair bit of money spent on the island by the lead LGL to ensure that our communities' facilities were upgraded and continue to run the awareness and the vaccine program on the island. So these are some of the figures up there, but it does not capture most of them, most of the figures that were spent on the island.
Understand. I think that's a good part to maybe stop, given that you're accounting for how much money you spent on COVID, and if you don't mind.
Thank you.
We'll have the next one up.
Thank you, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them later on.